Hello everyone. I'm going to go over the quickest, cleanest way to install your spoke covers. Your spoke covers will come to you in a package like this. The long one obviously being for the front and the shorter ones for the rear. As you can see, they're really clean and straight. All our spoke covers are cut and sliced on professional machines at the factory, giving you a real clean, precise fit. So the other thing you're going to need is a nice sharp pair of scissors, or I like to use cutters like this. They work really well. Now you can install the spoke covers with the wheels on the bike. We recommend using a stand. That way you can spin the wheel, makes it a little easier. But the way I like to do it the best, the most comfortable way, is having the wheels off the bike. And you can use either a standard 5-gallon bucket or a wastebasket, which most people have around their garage somewhere. Place the 5-gallon bucket here. You take your wheel, just pop it in the 5-gallon bucket. It acts like a little cradle, holds it in there while you're doing it. As you can see, I've already installed most of the spoke covers, and I'll show you how to do it on the last 6 sets. One thing a lot of people don't understand is most wheels, the inner and outer spokes are about 1/8 of an inch difference in length. There are some wheel setups where they're the same length. This one happens to be one where they're exactly the same length, and I'll show you the procedure that you'll find out real quick if your inner and outer are different lengths. So what you want to do is you want to take the first spoke cover here, and you're going to use this one as your template for all the inner covers. So rather than have another tool to pry the end open, I just like to have my hands free, and I just use my tooth to pry open the edge right here so that you can get a nice clean starting point. So pry it open, slide it down, slide it right down. Now you're going to have a little bit left over here, so what you want to do is trim it right under the nipple. Then you want to pull that one off. Now this will be your template for the inner spoke covers. Like I said, this one happens to have exactly the same length, so I don't have to take the measurement from this one. But when you're doing it, go ahead and do the same thing on the outer and trim it right under the nipple. Then you'll be able to put them together, and usually this is about what they look like. There'll be a difference in length from inner and outer. So now I can just go ahead and you take the one that you use as a template, and you just go ahead and trim the rest of the covers to that size, and use the bucket to catch the little ends. This part goes really quick. You can usually trim them all in about 5 minutes. Now the one thing you do want to do while you're trimming is you want to keep the trimmed end and the factory cut end on the same sides, and I'll show you that while you're installing. Go ahead and do the last one here. Okay, now you've got them all. You can see here the factory end's nice and clean, and then your trimmed end is usually never as clean as the factory end. So what you want to do is you want to put the trimmed end toward the hub and the factory end right up against the nipple. It gives it a nice, clean, even installation there. Once again, pry it open, slide it down, snap it right on. Sometimes you have to wiggle them around. Then you want to squeeze it back together lightly, get that seam back together. And you always want to put the slits facing towards the inside. And I usually do it at a 45, the inner 45 this way, the outer 45 that way. And you want to do that so that the outer seam doesn't go against the inner wrap and pinch open, because you'll see that from the opposite side of the rim. Now another thing I like to do here is where they cross over, sometimes they're a tiny bit tight. So I just use my finger and a little bit of spit, slide it on there. Makes it for a good lubrication. Just slide it right down. Now you squeeze them back together and go on to the next side. on this last one, one thing I did forget to say is you always want to start on your front rim because the spokes are much longer and there's a little more give in here, as you can see. So it's a lot easier to slide them on and you get the hang of it doing the front wheel before you go to the back wheel, because most times the back wheel is going to be a little bit tighter where they cross, and I will show you how to do that. So you go ahead and put the first one on, slide it all the way down, then you want to leave this part open right here. Put the second one on. Then when you get to this point, what you want to do is you want to put a screwdriver, or what I like to use is a small tire iron, behind the outer spoke and lip it right on here to the inner spoke, and you just slightly pry those open, and as you're prying it open, it would give you a little more room here, and you'll be able to slide it right down. And then once the outer one is on, you can snap them both on. So like I said, you just use a little tire iron behind the outer spoke, put it onto the inner spoke, and pry them apart just slightly, and they'll be able to slide right down. So that's it, and when you're done, your rim looks really nice, and all the edges look really clean. You can't see any seams from the other side, and it just really makes your bike look nice and gives it a really custom look.